than that now. So as part of your holiday research, do take the time to work out the actual cost of living in your resort. What I found while searching for these holidays is that there isn't many family rooms left out there in quality hotels. A family could be split into different rooms on different floors or even wings, depending on how the holiday is booked. I also mentioned kids clubs. There is a massive difference between a kids club run by the tour operator and one run by the hotel. That's not to say that hotel run clubs are inferior, it's just that a tour operator has no control over the way the hotel runs their own club. Always check direct with the hotel to see what the kids club offers before you book. A tour operator is unlikely to offer any advice on the facilities if it's hotel run. And finally, if you do want a family room, book early, book at the beginning of the year. There's kids free options at the time, and that's the best way to get hold of the rooms you're looking for. Yes, if you're flexible and you don't have kids, then there's last minute deals. But if you're a family, why risk having a stressful sleeping arrangements when you can get it all sorted 6 months in advance? Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. I'm reading the script of the very first John Guinn Travel Show from 5 years ago, and it's amazing how some things have stayed the same and some things have changed. Back when I did my original interview shows, I used to play the whole interview from start to finish, so it could be 40 minutes of me having a conversation with somebody. And then I was told that no, listeners don't like that. They like to have it in small chunks and break it up, which is not how I like it. So when you're thinking about doing your own show, whether it's travel or, I don't know, market research or business coaching, you do need to check out how people like listening to shows. And I was doing my MA, and we had a guest tutor talking about podcasting, and he's mentioned about breaking up into chunks and then moving the stories around. So you can start with story A, do it for 5 minutes, do B and C, then you start A again, recapping what you said about the beginning of the show, and then talking about the extra bit. And I told him, I can't tell you what I told you on air, but I wasn't happy. I hate listening to shows like that. So I tried not to do that, although I did do it in my very first script, as you'll find out later. But again, do try and do your own show. I've said this for the third time. I'm never going to say it again now. But if it's something you're passionate about and you want to share it, get a microphone, get a computer, start talking, start sharing. There's community stations all over the UK, and it's quite easy to contact them to see if they want you on. Not everybody takes everything. I've had a few rejections in my time, but I've even had my show played in America, so do give it a go. But anyway, back to the script. So I say this is from 5 years ago, so bear with me if you think this is a little bit out of date. A lot of travellers are asking if it's a good idea to visit Greece at the moment. ABTA says that 5%, which is around 1.8 million, of the holidays taken by the British abroad are to Greece and her islands. With the concern over the financial situation in Greece, many people are worried about holidaying there, and because of this, tour operators are slashing prices to stimulate demand. Although some tour operators are saying that they would have cut the prices anyway. If a country is experiencing problems, then it is much safer to book for a travel agent or a tour operator. Then if it does become too dangerous, complicated, disruptive, then your money will be protected. Although it is rare for me to book a package holiday for myself, I would do if I was going to Greece. The strikes over there have decreased, but if your holiday is affected by a strike while in resort, by hotel staff, by local services such as bin collections, it's unlikely that you will receive any compensation from your travel company. If it is an airline or a strike or an airport strike, then you would be looked after at the airport. If the flight is cancelled, then the tour operator will continue to look after you while other flight arrangements are made. If you booked flights and accommodation separately, you could lose the flight but still have to pay for the hotel even though you couldn't get there. If you are going to Greece, do take your cash in low denomination euros. It's now unlikely that Greece is going to leave the euro in the short term. According to Thomas Cook, if Greece does pull out, then the interim currency will be existing euros with a corner clipped, which will be worth 30 to 40% less. Thomas Cook's thinking that if you will lose more on a transaction with a €50 or higher note, so just take smaller notes. As I said, this is from 5 years ago, so you can just see how things have changed. With credit and debit cards, the advice is mixed. Some say it's a good idea to use cards instead of cash, while others point out that the banks will be in meltdown or closed if Greece does pull out. Of course, if you decide to book direct, at least your money will go to the Greek economy. However, you could lose your money if your accommodation falls through. If this happens, you won't get your flight money back either. Likewise, if it's impossible to fly into Greece, you may not get your room money back either, as I mentioned a few moments ago. Whichever way you book your trip to Greece, please read the small print and check your travel insurance. Are your insurers counting this as an existing problem, and will they refuse to pay out based on this? But taking all this into account, you're probably safe if you do decide to visit Greece in the near future. You're listening to The Travel Show with John Guinn on UKHealthRadio.com. This week I'm reading the script from the very first travel show 5 years ago. So some of the information is a little bit dated, but I just wanted to share what you probably didn't listen to when I first broadcast my show. If you are interested to listen to the very first show, and it is great if you can't sleep at night, just go to mixcloud.com, search for John Guinn Travel Show, and the first few shows are on there, and then the rest of the shows are on Spreaker.com, search John Guinn Spreaker. I have to be honest, the shows on Spreaker are not easy to search. You have to go through one by one to find out what's in, because the last station I had, they use Spreaker as its iPlayer, so it had to have the show's date on it, and I just kept the format even though I've not had to do that for 2 years. But yeah, go to mixcloud.com, search John Guinn, and you'll find the very first John Guinn Travel Show. Same content, slightly different delivery, and of course the very first one has music. But back to this script. Earlier I started to talk about simple checks that teenagers and their parents can take to ensure that the first parent-free holiday goes smoothly. Unfortunately, things can go wrong on holiday. I've already mentioned losing your passport or travel documents. Other problems include stolen luggage, you might get ill, or need to fly home in a hurry. Accidents happen not just on roads and ski slopes, but wherever you find travellers. All these risks and more can be covered by taking out travel insurance. Don't leave home without it. However, don't assume that you're covered for anything that might happen. I think it's fair to say that travel insurance companies don't really want to help. They want to keep your money. So there are probably more reasons why they won't pay out than reasons why they will. Check the small print. You may not be covered if you have an accident on a jet ski, a banana boat, while cycling, playing sport, or if you're on the influence of drink or drugs. Even if it is larking about as lads, if you slip, twist your ankle, you may not be covered. So read the small print. Exclusions vary from policy to policy. If you're planning on a specialist trip, make sure that it's covered in the documents. Don't take anybody's word for it, get it in writing. It's worth paying more to get the right cover. Free insurance from banks and credit cards generally offer low levels of cover. If in doubt, speak to a specialist, and you won't find a travel insurance specialist at a travel agent or a supermarket. Getting home after an accident could easily cost you £50,000 to £100,000. So it's not about getting the cheapest possible insurance, it's about getting the right insurance. A few weeks ago, a woman died in London after being bitten by an animal while in South Asia. There was also another case in Leeds. So it's easy to come in contact with animals when you're away. Loads of hotels, for example, have cats roaming around. A rabies jab may have prevented this particular death. I'm not saying everybody should have a rabies jab before they go away, but you should talk to your GP to get up-to-date information on health issues at your destination. Malaria is a common problem. Cheryl Cole's illness being a recent example. Make sure you've taken all the correct medical advice. You don't have to go to your GP. You could use a travel clinic, but this will cost more. However, some medicines have nasty side effects when combined with existing medication, so a GP would know which would be best for you. Some travel insurance companies may expect you to have a European health insurance card or an EHIC. If you are travelling to a country that is a member of the European Economic Area, which includes Switzerland, this card is free. It will entitle you to the same state-provided healthcare as the nationals of that country you're visiting get. It doesn't replace travel insurance as it won't cover all treatments, and you cannot use it to fly home if you're ill. And different countries handle the EHIC in different ways, so check before you go. For example, in Malta, you may have to pay and then claim back before you leave. If you don't do this before flying home, you'll have to claim the money back from the NHS, and this isn't a quick service. Don't forget to include your EHIC card when you scan your travel documents. I hope you got a pen ready. For more information on the EHIC, visit www.nhs.uk/NHS England/healthcare aboard/EHIC/about-the-EHIC.aspx. If you Google EHIC, there's a strong possibility you'll get websites which will charge you for the EHIC. Do not use them. They don't make life easier for you. You're putting in the same information on their website, which they're just going to send straight to the NHS, and you could just as easily put it on the NHS website. So, once again, this isn't from the script, but EHICs are free. Do not pay anybody for an EHIC card. You can follow me on Twitter @holiday_hut. To celebrate the show's 5th birthday and to commemorate the fact this is the last John Guinn travel show, I'm reading the script from the 30th of June 2012, the very first show. The only things missing from the very first show to this one is I'm not playing music. As I mentioned at the very beginning, it was 50-50 music and chat. Although, with my voice at the time, it was so dull. Oh, it was so dull. But anyway, let's get back to the script. Right, teenage girl group holidays. There are some extra precautions that should be taken. Attitudes to women in other countries can be very different from that in the UK. If you're off on a girls' trip, you should be aware of these differences so you can take the right steps to ensure that you still have a great trip. Even 5 years later, I still can't believe I still have to give this advice, and it sounds patronising and stuff, but it's not me. It's the attitude of the men in these other countries, and it's up to you if you take the advice or not, but I'm just trying to help female travellers be more comfortable when they're away. So anyway, back to script. When you check into your accommodation, if you have to sign a guest book, only use the initial of your first name and don't put Ms., Mrs. or Ms. Use a door wedge when you're in your room to prevent the door being opened, and don't let anybody into the room if you're not expecting room service, maintenance, fire, etc. Your appearance is the most important thing to consider when visiting another country. The main rule when away from the hotel, pool or beach is to ensure that you cover your arms and legs. As well as reducing unwanted attention, this also helps protect you from the sun. It may seem daft, but a wedding ring can help keep local men at bay. Just when you're out clubbing here, do not leave your drink unattended. Do not accept drinks from strangers, and don't walk alone at night or go to a bar on your own. When you go out, leave details of your plans with somebody you can trust at your hotel. Always try and keep your cool when receiving unwanted attention, and don't make matters worse by causing a confrontation. And finally, be wary of telling strangers where you are staying, and don't give out details of your travel plans. I know it's terrible that you have to plan like this when you go some places. But there we go, even 5 years later, the advice still holds up. But talking about general holiday safety now, you may be away enjoying yourself with your minds on other things, but you're as much at risk of being a victim of crime when travelling as you are when you're at home, so be on your guard. The Foreign and Commonwealth Office website, www.gov.uk/FCO, has travel advice for every recognised country in the world, to see what it says about your destination. It's not all about terrorism and bombs. Crime waves and hotspots are also mentioned. You can also find warnings of travel forums such as TripAdvisor, and only take out what you need when you're out. Don't take all your money with you, all your passport, all your belongings. Leave everything in a room safe or in a hotel safe. Hotel safe's probably better, over the years I have shown how easy it is to break into a hotel room.